What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the MMA Savvy Podcast. It's your favorite host, Wally, alongside combat sport expert, Big Rich Fulgoni. And today we'll be discussing UFC Fight Night, Ankalaev versus Guskov. And then we'll break down the light heavyweight division and analyze what's next for Big Ank. And then we'll end the show by previewing UFC Fight Night, Medic versus Rodriguez, that goes down this weekend in Serbia.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting MMA Savvy!
Okay, Big Rich, let's get into it. But before we break down the card, can you remember the last time you've been that disappointed by a main event, excluding freak injury, of course?
Yeah, I mean, we could point to very recent history if that was the case. But yeah, I think that there's two that stick out to me. I think it was when Carlos Esparza came back and fought for the vacant belt. I think it was against Rose Namajunas. It was just a real snooze fest, man. Like, to get a winner out of that fight was crazy. And then the one that I'll never forget was Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou. I mean, I think it's just because coming into that fight, two massive, heavy-handed heavyweights. Like, I thought it was going to be pure violence, and they literally were just too scared. Too scared. Hesitant to throw the entire fight. It was a complete snooze fest. So yeah, those two definitely stick out.
Yeah, I mean, God, I was just very disappointed. I was texting you all night, and I'm going to blame Guskov. I know you have some words for Big Ank, but let's break it down, everybody. Let's check it out here. So at least the rest of the card I thought was pretty damn good. We do have some good storylines. So UFC Fight Night, Ankalaev Guskov, that took place in Abu Dhabi, baby. I do like when it's in the other markets and we get more fans internationally, growing the sport. So it still was exciting. The issue that I have with the 9 a.m. start time, I do like the early morning because you wake up and boom, there's fights. But then next thing you know, it's noon our time and they're done for the day. And then Wally has a hole in his heart later. That's why I had to get the freaking PFL on. Anyway, let's break it down. On paper, this was a massive fight. Ankalaev, number 1 contender in the world at light heavyweight. Bogdan Guskov, number 9, filling in for Rountree. And let's start with my disappointment of Guskov. Now listen, you're getting a one-in-a-lifetime chance potentially against the number 1 contender in the world. Fighters dream their entire lives for this, right? And he had been on the roll. He had been knocking people out and submitting people. And he also was down against Jan and had a 10-8 round to come back against Jan to keep sort of that streak alive. And he gets this unbelievable chance. And whether it was just he was scared with the spotlight on him, it was too big of a moment. He was worried about the takedown. He was worried about the boxing of Ank, which was ridiculous because Ank was barely throwing himself. It's like not like he was throwing bombs. He didn't throw for 3 rounds. I don't care if it was tricky and Ankalaev had great, boxing defense or you had weird angles. Like, who gives a crap? By the second round, you better be throwing because you're throwing your whole UFC, number 1 contender chance away. You're going to get in the doghouse with Dana, which is now probably what's going to happen. He didn't throw for 3 rounds. And then finally he did get taken down. And I guess maybe that was the problem. He was worried about the takedown because his ground game is so bad, but you can't just not throw. You're also going to lose the decision. So just mostly, I'm going to flip it to you because I don't even have much to talk about Ankalaev, except he did finally look good in the 4th and the 5th when he got the takedowns and he got the stoppage, but just very disappointing. What is Guskov thinking, Big Rich?
Man, he totally flubbed, right? Like, you're exactly right with that. It did look like the moment was maybe too big for him. He never got into the fight. And look, I'll say this. Big Ank is the type of fighter. He's like a Strickland where what he does really well is, to your point, uses his footwork and, is great technically. And so he makes you kind of fight his fight, right? So he's good at that. Now, the problem is his fight is boring as shit to me. You know what I mean? He just does not have the damaging tools, or he doesn't use them enough, right? He's just too tentative. And that's kind of what I said in the lead up to this. And it was like, is he going to be aggressive enough to win this fight? And even though, yes, he got a late stoppage in round 5, it was almost like a consolation stoppage. Like, Guskov just gave off, stopped fighting back. It was the most anticlimactic stoppage I've ever seen, right? It was just kind of like, Goddard's like, well, he doesn't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Let's call it a day. You know what I mean? Guskov completely flubbed. I mean, he was only throwing leg kicks. It was kind of crazy to go back and look at some of the striking stats because he had so many more strikes than I thought he had. I'm like, where are these? Oh, where are they counting all these strikes? But he was just flipping those little leg kicks out. And that was really it, man. It was strange. I mean, I'd like to think maybe he had some kind of weird undisclosed injury or something, but it was complete, a complete flub on his end. Now, Big Onk, this is my problem with him, man. He doesn't have the ability to take the fight to somebody, right? He's very safe. He's very technical. He'll win on points. And if someone makes a mistake, he'll take advantage of it, right? That's how he knocked Johnny Walker out, right? He'll do that to the lower level competition. But when he's fighting these guys at the top, he does not have the finishing instincts for like championship level. And so that's why he's really frustrating to watch. I know he is the most well-rounded guy in the division, but I would rather see Paulo Costa fight because he's going to bring the fight to you and actually go for a finish. You know what I mean? So yeah, very lackluster. I don't think either one of those guys did themselves a favor. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Guskov cut off such a terrible performance, which is crazy because he's had so many finishes, you know what I mean? And a lot of wins, but wow, that was disappointing.
And what's so crazy about it is, supposedly they offered the fight to Jan also, but he didn't fill out the form quick enough and the response. And so they gave it to Guskov. And if anything, the Jan rematch against Ankalaev probably would have been better. I know the first one was a draw, but at least they were going back and forth and actually fighting. I mean, Dana's got to be sitting there like, what is up with this guy who looked like a killer just like the last couple years, not throwing it. And to your point, dude, I think he had one good right hand that landed in the second round, and that was it. I mean, come on, dude. Well,
dude, he reminds me of the Ian Gary of like the light heavyweight division, right? Very, very technical, very defensively sound, does not take risks. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's just at a certain point, you want to see a fight and not just a very careful fighter. And unfortunately, that's what we get with both of them. Now, Ian Gary's going to have his chance to, make a statement when he fights Islam coming up here. But this is what we've seen before from Big Onk, and it's more of the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, the one thing I will say is like, I agree with you, but if someone has a way to win where they're also not getting a lot of damage, so be it, baby. To me, it's more on Guskov to try to figure out the puzzle. Yes, it's not exciting. Fine, Richie boy. But it's like, we're not watching gladiator blood sport. If a guy has a particular way to win, so be it. Right. And he's got to utilize it. And it's on Guskov to do something about it. And at least Ankalaev in the fourth and the fifth got, more pressure, got the takedown. I'm not defending him, but it's like, you got to take the fight to him, or he might win on points. Right. So,
so to your point, I'll give him credit for that, right? He realized this guy's going to run away from me the whole fight. I'm going to charge in. I'm going to take him down, try to land some ground and pound. But then once it got there, it was not vicious ground and pound. Like, I want to see more. You know what I mean? I want to see some violence from this guy at a different level. And he just doesn't seem to have it in him sometimes.
Well, okay. So the big story now is what is next for Ankalaev, because even though it was lackluster and we're pissed off at Guskov, I don't know what the hell was going on through that guy's mind. The big story is what's next for him. And after we go through the main card, stay put, baby. And don't forget to like the video because we're going to talk about the light heavyweight division coming up, the Savvy Deep Analysis. But one of the big stories of the night was in the flyweight co-main event. My boy, number 10, Steve Erceg.
What division? The flyweight division? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, which is now finally in the top 5 of relevance. I'll give you that. Saying it's the best is ridiculous. So, Steve Erceg, number 10 in the world, against your new boy and Nico's boy, Ramazan Temirov, who came through while he did not get the scouting report right. Wally blew this pick, but at least I'm only 6 down now, thank God. So, Temirov came through blitzkrieg with serious bombs. And what did he already win? 11 straight? Was that his 12th straight, Richie? This guy is very scary. He's going to be number 10 in the world come Monday morning. And yes, you're right. Now it's another killer in the flyweight division. And we looked it up. It might be Horiguchi that might have to face him on that after that loss, or maybe Albazi or one of those guys that's in that 5 to 10, probably coming up the loss, that's now going to have to deal with this guy. And I wonder who even takes the fight, because Temirov will get something else in 2026. I have nothing to say about Erceg except, he looked like he settled in for a second there after the initial blitzkrieg. And I was like, okay, here we go. Temirov's going to tire it out. And then no. Yeah. Now I don't know where the hell he goes from there, because he had just come off 2 good wins and it looked like he had reset himself in his career. What do you say to this craziness, Richie?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the power that he has, that's kind of why I picked him, right? I just thought if he can get to to space where he can land a big shot, I think he can obviously knock Erceg out. We've seen him knocked out before by Kai Kara France. Now, I saw some sort of breakdowns leading into this, and some other analysts didn't think that he was going to have, like, he doesn't have the combo punching he needed to sort of get to Erceg just because of Erceg's size, the height difference and the length. But man, like the way that he just closes distance and those big overhands, and I guess it's because he's punching up because he is shorter. But man, I was super impressed. I didn't think he would get it done that quickly. I thought if he did get a stoppage, it would probably be round 2 or round 3. I think a lot of his finishes are coming in the first round. This guy just seems to be an absolute force at the featherweight division. The flyweight division. And the crazy thing is, dude, we're talking about flyweights. And if you go looking down the ranks right now, you're seeing these guys finishing fights. Josh Van, Manel Kopp, now Temirov. Like, you're not used to seeing flyweights knocking people out. And this is incredible. That's one of the reasons I think it is one of the hottest divisions right now. It's exciting. And now just add another top player to the game, baby. This is fantastic news.
Yeah, and I remember thinking the other guy that was in my mind, maybe a Kavanaugh off that loss against a Temirov. Yeah. Those are going to be Kuraguchi, Albazi, or Kavanaugh, all coming off losses and need to, hold their position. Those are great matchups. Okay, lightweight fight against your boy John Pork or Chonko against an undefeated Polish guy who was definitely game. He had durability. Jeez. And the first round was close. And I was kind of thinking, oh, John Pork is not the guy that I thought he was. I think he might even have, it could have gone either way that first round. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, and then all of a sudden, unbelievable kicks and elbows and strikes. The guy looked like he was actually very legit. And I was like, man, another guy out of Khabib and Islam's camp. Holy crap. You gotta hand it to him. Very impressive performance. And could we have another player in the lightweight division all of a sudden from that camp? What do you say here?
I mean, according to Chonko, yes, right? He came out talking all kinds of shit, which I like, right?
Already? Come on, bro.
But you gotta love it, right? Now, with that said, we need to see more, of course, before, we're going to think about him challenging some of the guys up at the top of the ranks. But, it's exciting for a guy coming out of Khabib's camp, the Dagestan wrestling and all that. This guy's a Muay Thai fighter, and I think he is a 3-time Muay Thai champion. Yeah. And you saw it, right? Really, that first round, I think, was just him about downloading data, figuring out the timing. And then once he had a guy's timing, I mean, he was all over him. But Respecki, holy shit, dude, hats off to you. Jeez. I mean, literally ate a foot into his mouth. Like, I don't know if you saw that image, that still shot. It literally inserted it into his mouth and knocked his mouthpiece out. That was crazy. But, man, he was tough. I just couldn't believe he was still, I think I texted that to you towards the end of the fight. I'm like, I can't believe this guy was still standing, the shots that he took. Yeah. John Pork, Chonko, his striking, incredible. Once he had the timing, it was fun to watch, man. So, definitely a different feel for like a guy that coming into that camp with Khabib and Islam. It's exciting because, as you know, I like to see a striking, battle. I like to see some guys going for the finish. And this is a guy who's looking like he's going to do that every time he steps at the octagon. So welcome to the division and the UFC, Chonko. We're happy to have you. I'm curious to see what's next for you, bro.
Yeah, and I think the big theme of this year is a lot of new blood coming in, the Temirovs of the world. And, so it's always exciting to at least have new people spicing things up because we do have a couple divisions that are stale, and we're going to look at one today, especially at 205. So I'm always welcoming new talent. Be kind. Yeah. So the other big story of the night, sort of the sleeper, highly ranked heavyweight fight between Kuniev and Fortune. And I called it the Russian Bear, Wally's Russian Bear, the new theme, baby. Number 8 in the world, looked like a very stout individual. Yes, we talked about it. He had a slow start, but once this guy gets rolling, I mean, he's throwing knees and elbows and punches. I mean, he looks insane, and he really puts the pressure on you once he has you hurt. And Fortune, very tough to even... I was actually almost pissed at his corner because it looked like he clearly had broken a rib or injured his rib. Yeah. And it looked like, and he had the thing on his face, and it looked like after that second round, you should probably call it, and they still trotted him out. to then just get smashed even more.
More elbows,
I know sometimes the corner has to push the guy. And then what if he had a miraculous, one punch KO of Kuniev and it saved his career? And then we'd be saying a different thing. But I felt like, man, he was kind of done. The big story is Kuniev now is a player in that heavyweight division that you've been saying is stale. So I like him there. And I think Fortune kind of jumped up because of dumb luck of getting the last minute fill-in against Tybura and then performing. I don't think he was really should have been a number 9 guy in the world. So the story is Kuniev. What do you say?
Yeah, no, Kuniev looked incredible. Bit of a slow starter. He doesn't have a crazy pace, but he is constantly putting the pressure on you, right? And he just, every strike that he delivered was deliberate and it was powerful and it was with intent to hurt and do damage, man. So it's very exciting. I thought that, Fortune held on, he definitely took a big body shot, probably a broken rib, they were saying on the broadcast, but, he still, they did try to back out there and he tried to be tough, but man, Kuniev wasted no time putting those elbows on him and getting him out of there. Very, very impressive. I like to see someone with Kuniev's finishing instincts, right? We're going to be excited every time he comes into the fight because we know he's going to be going for the kill, and you can't ask for anything more.
And now with Kuniev, he lost his debut, but a split decision against Blades, and that was razor thin. And then he beats Almeida. He beats Fortune, who's no slouch. He's now, has a pretty decent little resume and little run here. He's probably going to get a massive fight. Imagine him versus like a Hokit or something like that out of the blue if Josh doesn't already get some crazy top 3 fight. Stevenson. Oh my God. Yeah, there's some good options there because I don't know who wants to tangle with Wally's Bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say this though. Just going back to that Blades fight. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
That kind of shows you where you are a little worried about the gas tank, right? Like, can he sustain a pace, you know what I mean, in a 5-rounder, that's per se, right? If he's fighting up on a main event or for a belt. But, there's nothing to show that he can't, but I just have it, still question like sort of where's his gas tank and his cardio.
Good point. Okay, so pretty decent card despite the main event, but now let's do the Savvy special analysis at 205, baby. Now, I got to say, this is not as hot as middleweight, especially with the Ulberg injury. Let me break this down here. I think the big thing, luckily, Ulberg was there. Of course, we all know he's the champ now. I like how at least he was there to instantly give that interview and give his feelings on what should happen. And of course, his post that just came out saying it should be Ankalaev and Jiří. And then also Rountree and Costa in like a 4-man tourney. I don't hate the idea, but here's my one thing. So of course, Ulberg at the top. He's now claiming he's not going to be back until Q1 27. And now he's already been out, 5 months or so. So it's like going to be a full year. I'm an interim guy. I don't like when there isn't, I guess if it's just a tight year and but we're still going to be 6 to 8 to 9 months away. I think there's got to be at some point an interim belt.
Agreed.
Except the way that maybe the UFC likes to fucking wait these days anyway and fucking dilly-dally with BS. I guess you could just hold off. But I think there has to be an interim belt at some point at the end of this year. Now, I don't know who they're going to give it to because Ankalaev probably deserves it. But Costa's kind of in the running because he beat Mirzakhanov. I know you don't think Jiří should get it, but he's in the mix. And there's Rountree, but I don't know who's really deserving of it. There was rumors, I gotta say, but it was one of those shameful rich outlets saying it was Costa, Procházka, interim belt at some point in October, but I'm like, okay, I don't believe that, right? But I wouldn't hate it, just to have something there, and then Ankalaev rebook him against Rountree, or he can sit there and be next in line in case Ulberg takes forever to recover. But the only other thing that we have to look at is Pereira still sitting here. He's at heavyweight, but I think, to me, I didn't like Pereira at heavyweight. I almost want him to come back one last time and then make this division great again, baby. I don't like Pereira at heavyweight. He looks slow. He got worked by God. I'm done with him at heavy. The only other thing here is Błachowicz. We know, oh my God, Błachowicz has Sterling next weekend that we're about to talk about. So at least there's that. But he's 42. I don't think he's in the running anymore unless he smokes Sterling and gets a first round KO and looks amazing. I guess he's still kind of in the mix. And then Hill, he needs to fight. You know what I like? I like Hill versus Reyes because Reyes looked terrible against Johnny Walker. And he doesn't really have
what are you talking about? Hill's gone up to heavyweight, bro. Have you seen his belly on the internet recently?
He's also moving. Yeah.
My man's really, like 300 pounds right now. I don't even know if he can make heavyweight.
Sorry. Yeah, that's just nonsense. And then there's Mirzakhanov, who needs to come back after the loss. Ozdemir suspended 18 months. Guskov, if he's not cut, he's lucky he didn't even get a damn fight. I guess then book Guskov Reyes then. If you're right, Hill's gone too. Whitaker's the only other diamond in the damn rough because Johnny Walker's gone up. Rocket's gone up. Sterling, of course, is fighting Yan, and Menafield had a great win against Zhang Mingyang and Krylov. We never want to see him again either. So it's really like there isn't after that top 5 to 6, excluding Mirzakhanov. We have nothing here, baby. I mean, maybe Whitaker Reyes just booked that for some movement. I don't even know what else to say here. What do you say here?
No one deserves a title shot in this division right now. You've got Ankalaev, who just comes off of that stinker of performance, the lamest finish I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You've got, and he's 1-1, right? He just lost, came back and got one not super impressive victory.
Right. Okay?
You've got Jiří, who completely screwed up his fortunes by allowing Ulberg to use his only weapon, his best, and the best weapon that you should know is coming, hobbled on one leg to get knocked out. He's he's lost 3 out of 4 championship fights now, so you're going to try him back out there. He doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Pereira, to your point, if he was back in the division, I think, of course, he would get a shot right away. But we don't know if he's actually going to come back down. Rountree I was bummed to not see him actually fight Ankh in this main event, because I think like he's a guy you could have had right on the precipice of it, even though he did lose not too long ago to Jiří, right? So he's kind of he's still kind of the same thing. So yeah, outside of Paulo Costa, even though he's only had one fight in the division, it's like that's kind of the guy who's the most deserving, which is crazy to say. So it just shows you that light heavyweight is like a dumpster fire right now.
Yes.
But look, whatever. We still got to make these matchups and see what happens. Mirzakhanov, my guy who I can no longer refer to as the boogeyman after he got shamefully broken down and dispatched by Secret Juice. You know what I mean? He was the only guy that was kind of on a run. You know what I mean? So it's like it's slim pickings right now, boys. But yeah, anyway, I guess we'll see what happens. They gotta make it with someone, in all seriousness. So I actually am not mad at Paulo Costa and Jiří. I think I'd prefer to see that, based upon what we just saw from Ankh this weekend, right? So, I'm not mad at that. And then rebook Ankh and Rountree, right? And I do kind of agree with Ulberg in that, those are the 4 guys, you know what I mean, that should sort of be fighting it out for a shot when he comes back.
Yeah, so I agree with you, which is rare, baby. I think maybe we do this. If they don't want to book an interim title fight right away, get Jiří Costa at least booked for a main event somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And then also follow by a couple months later, Ankalaev or Rountree. Then let the winner of both of those fight for the interim belt. And then by then, maybe Ulberg is close to coming back anyway, but at least you'll have something in case Ulberg is like, oh my God, I've had a setback. I'm out 5 more months. Then at least, okay, boom, that's probably what you do. I think that's the most
and also, actually,
fair move.
Let's not forget our boy RDR. He's going to be up in these rankings too. I know he's not being reflected here. So at least we do have RDR. You've got Whitaker on a win. You got Paulo in the division on a win. So hopefully there's some momentum there. And then depending what happens with Navajo Sterling next week, you know what I mean? He might be on his way up too, right? He's put a few together as well. So there are a few guys, but they're all new entrants to the division mainly. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And the last thing I'll say is your boy No Time was the only other guy on a winning streak, and he looked very scary again. And now he's out 18 months. So he screwed us there.
He's buying online dick pills or something, man. I don't know. What is this guy doing?
I don't know. So
how are you? Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, we finally had action with Ulberg, and then he gets hurt. So we need this once great, one of the most iconic divisions in the history of the sport. Let's get back in gear, baby. Okay, we're going to end the show by breaking down what's coming out, because Wally's addicted. I'm already counting down the days, baby, and it's only Sunday on when the next fight night is. Okay, I'm going to have to start watching the Contender Series and the PFLs just to get by, because even just one a week, Rich, is not enough, let alone the bye weeks. Okay, we got Uros Medic versus your boy Rodriguez. And I know, hey, people are saying maybe it's not the greatest main event, but I like it. It's in Serbia. It's going to be an insane crowd. Let's see if they're as crazy as Paris. I doubt it's as nuts, but remember that one that was in Denmark or Brussels that blew off the hinges also recently, that PFL fight. So that was pretty clean too. So I'm hoping the Serbian crowd brings us some heavy duty noise. Now I know Medic is only number 14 in the world and your boy D-Rod 15. But I do like the fight because of course he's a hometown guy. So you got to put the Serbian in the main event. Right. And he's on a 3-fight win streak and he's very, very scary. He lives and dies by the sword, 3 straight first round knockouts. But don't forget D-Rod, who I used to not believe in. I used to always bash you for being a D-Rod guy. But the win against Ponzinibbio, I was like, okay, this guy's no. And then the performance against Holland, where he knocked Holland down, like I think early in that fight and Holland could never really recover. Yeah. He's badass. I'm now with you. D-Rod's no slouch. I don't know why. Right now, the odds are saying Medic is a minus 390. I think they are way off. At most, Medic should be a 2-1 because he's also, just because he's on the 3-fight win streak, which also D-Rod is on, he's very risky. Right. He lives and dies by the sword. And Rodriguez is very durable, as we saw in the Ponzinibbio and the Holland fight. I don't know if Medic even wins this fight, let alone being a 4-1 favorite. What are your initial feelings to this?
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings because I like both of these guys a lot, right? Medic, like you said, he's the hometown boy in Serbia, but he's now living here, actually in Orange County. I'm pretty sure he's actually local to where I'm at, like in the Costa Mesa area or somewhere.
Oh, yeah, you did say that, yes.
Yeah, so, and I like his style, right? Like you just said, he's risky. He puts it on the line. He's going out there for a finish. But you live by the sword, you die by the sword, right? You can catch one, and D-Rock could easily catch him. So I think that's kind of what this is going to come down to, who gets caught. I think they're both going to risk it for the biscuit. It's a cool story with D-Rod. You know, everything that happened with him. He wins that Holland fight, drives across the border with a pound of weed, and then gets rolled up by the federales, thrown in the clink in TJ for like 6 or 8 months. He got all those cool training videos, you know what I mean? Hitting like jailhouse bags and stuff like that. So he was keeping himself in shape. But, so I want him to have the redemption story, but I also want to see Medic continue his rise. So, it's kind of a lose-lose. I mean, in that regard, but it's also a win-win because one of these guys is going to have a great story. And I think that, if I'm leaning early, I'm probably leaning towards Medic, but, to go either way. Yeah.
You will lose your integrity on this show, though, if you don't take D-Rod, baby, because Wally took Wally took Strickland. Okay. Wally took McGregor. I'm taking my boys. Who else did I take the other? Oh, Wally took Gaethje. Don't forget those things, baby. When and Nico just went out on a limb and he took Guskov. Oh. So if Rich comes in and taking Medic, we know he's shame.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now
but
look
I'm glad you brought that up because Richie went 5-0. This week, went 5-0 last week, and I've now caught Nico. I told you I was nipping at your heels, baby, and we're right there. We're neck and neck. Wally gains 2 back, so he's not in the complete depths of hell, but he's working his way back, potentially. So yeah, it's good to see some action there this week between us, at least the Savvy Bros, as far as our fight count goes.
And then the last thing I'll quickly say here is that, the Błachowicz-Sterling fight now to me is bigger because we just did the 205 analysis and we need more blood. We need more juice. Yeah. So it's like we want Jan to pull off a miracle, but if not, at least Sterling's a new, exciting guy. If he comes off, and takes Jan out in the first or second round or a very impressive performance, he's then thrown right into the mix because there isn't that many fighters in the damn mix at 205. Right. We also have Rocket coming up, leaving light heavyweight to heavyweight against Tybura. You got Valentin Todorovic. So there's actually some decent fights on this. Any last words here, Richie, before we close the show on any of those fights?
Yeah. What you were just saying about the light heavyweight division is on point, right? Like Navajo actually had a nice win his last time out. So can he continue that momentum? He's out of City Kickboxing out there with Eugene Berryman, same as the champion of the division right now, in Carlos Ulberg. So, can he climb the ranks? And then what does that look like if those guys end up at the top together? You match them up. How does that work?
That's interesting.
I'm kind of curious. But yeah, no, and then, like you said, with Błachowicz, I know he's old, I know he's 42, but we saw DC get some real quality wins at 42. The question is, he's been very injury prone recently, and that's why he's got out of the last fight. And, he had a big injury. He was out for about a year, in the last 18 months. So, it's going to be, maybe his swan song, but he definitely has the championship medal, so he could pull something out against Sterling, no doubt. But I think Sterling's youth probably will lead the dance.
Okay, Rich, and just to screw you again, it's a 10 a.m. card, baby. It's another day card to screw you, so just keep that in mind. Okay, that's it for this week.
Right.
Thank you for listening to the MMA Savvy Podcast, the world's top place for MMA content. If you love these weekly episodes, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're a real MMA enthusiast, check out the old MMA Savvy videos on our page. You might see some UFC legends pop up just as Nick Diaz, Ronda Rousey, and John Jones. The old channel has been revived, and we couldn't be more excited, so please subscribe. Follow, comment, like, share, and blast on all of our social channels. We're blasting hard on the talk. We're heavy on the gram, and we're going crazy on the tube. That's at MMA Savvy and at Richie Boy MMA. And make sure to comment and challenge our takes if you have disagreements. We love the comments and interactions with the fans. So with that, stay savvy, fight fans.